Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sorting Hat Podcast, the show where everything and anything can and will be sorted. I, as always, am your host, Michael Barryte, joined by my co-host, Reed Brice.
And you, sir, just activated my trap card.
The basic conceit of the show is that we have a friend, a fan, someone wildly knowledgeable or excited about a topic, and then have them sort those things within that topic into the various houses of Hogwarts. Today, we are joined by a longtime friend of mine, very funny comedian, improviser, writer over at That One Video Gamer. You've worked for Cap Community, correct? Am I like doing deep pulls for you?
Maybe. You should keep going. Keep rolling. Keep rolling.
He's also the host of Super Couch Fighters.
True.
He's an improv teacher.
True.
And just like a brain bank for all things nerdiness. It is Brett Bayonne.
Thank you for having me.
Did I list everything? Were there more things?
My
that
ego is sufficiently stroked.
Oh, wonderful.
All right, now that we're ego hard, let's go.
Yeah. So
I don't like that combination of words. Friends, I'm sorry. I will never say ego hard ever again.
You get two, and that's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was the second one.
Yeah.
It is all right. So
But thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
absolutely, I'm very excited to have you on the pod because you're a deep well of knowledge when it comes to many a subject. We've gotten on like random conversations throughout our knowing one another.
Yeah, I don't have useful things in my head. I have like movie trivia and crap like that.
But it's very fun to discuss things with you because you're just great. I like you
Appreciate
a lot
it.
for
I think,
that
yeah, we'll
reason.
get
Yeah,
later.
you don't have to worry about like not having useful things in your head. I barely understand algebra at this point. I am not far enough away from my higher education to be able to make that claim without sounding really embarrassing.
Yeah, so we are going to be dealing with Magic the Gathering, but not in like, we're going to be dealing with it in like, I guess, a broad-based sense.
Yeah, not like individual cards or even like characters involved in the narrative.
Right. So we...
Okay, well, let's say you are the kind of virgin who didn't play Magic.
Yeah, that's rare.
I was out just watching Sailor Moon. Can you explain like a little bit like what is Magic the Gathering?
Sure.
And what was your exposure to it initially?
Oh yeah, that's great.
Okay, so Magic the Gathering, the first time I saw it was when a cousin of mine came over. He's like, "You want to play with some Magic cards?" And in my head, I'm like, "What you mean, like card tricks and stuff?" And he laid them out to
Houdini
me.
stuff?
Yeah, like he laid them out, and I didn't know what the heck was going on because we were both like 7 or 8 at the time, and 7 and 8-year-olds are very, very bad teachers. So I did not enjoy my time with it at all. And my next experience with it was in high school when I would see like the very, even nerdy than I,
Yeah.
the very, very nerdy kids, like the bottom of the nerd barrel, they would like play it at lunch on the tables. And I wouldn't make fun of them or anything. I wasn't a bully, but in my head, I would judge and be like, my God, man. And it wasn't.
I was the creature underneath that tier that they were like, "You're too dumb to play this with us."
Damn!
And I was like, "Fair enough. Back to the library for me."
That's where you stayed in the library?
I in 9th grade for the first half of the year, I ate lunch in the library every day. Well, they didn't let me eat in there, so
So you snuck lunch in the library?
dude. I hope the librarians at Yucca Valley High School are not listening to this right now.
Shout outs to y'all. Woo! But I got into it later, like late in college and stuff, because I think a video game version came out, and it was cheap. And I'm like, I'll try this because I was bored. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of deep. And I appreciate those types of games that are like simple on the surface, but as deep as the Marianas Trench and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what Magic the Gathering is to a T. So that's how I got involved with it. And for those of you out there who don't know the game, it's like a collectible trading card game. But like the lifeblood of it, the thing that like governs how it's played and kind of what makes it interesting is the color system behind it, also known as the color pie. So almost every card in the game is one of 5 colors: white, blue, black, red, or green. And depending on what kind of color your card is, it determines like what kind of deck it can be played in, what kind of effects it's going to have. Not to mention like what the narrative behind the concept of the card is going to be.
Oh, because the cards will have like backstory to them, or what do you mean?
Yeah,
by
it's
narrative?
really cool. And then Magic the Gathering is this trading card game where like technically almost everything you need to know to be able to play as a first-time player is right there on the cards. Like the rules are on the card that you have in your hand, you know?
Oh, that's cool.
Not to mention flavor text. So like it'll be something like, you know, like a goblin or something, but at the bottom it'll say like some text about it, about how like, you know, it likes to hide under bigger creatures and eat their scraps. You know,
Oh,
stuff like
it's-
that.
it's just that
what
little-
creature is that? My goblin? That sounds like me.
Yeah, it's just that little extra bit to like make you actually feel endeared to the card beyond simply like the artwork and the ability that the card might have.
True.
So yeah, we're going to be dealing with deck colors, and as far as sorting bias is concerned, when we are getting into the realm of sorting things, it is worth noting that I am a Ravenclaw, Reed is a Hufflepuff. And
Really?
Yes. And
Surprise.
And as we learned earlier today, I asked Brett to take the Pottermore quiz.
Yeah,
and
it should be said, by the way, that I'm like very much a neophyte when it comes to Harry Potter.
Oh, honey, don't worry. I've been on this podcast for over a year. I still barely know what happens in the story.
All right, great.
So initially, like my immediate thought was that Brett was going to be a Ravenclaw, no doubt. And then I was like, maybe though he could be a Gryffindor, and that is actually what came to pass. Although we also discussed there are some strains of Slytherin that
Could
echo
be.
through Brett's blood, I
could be.
suppose.
Probably.
But as far as sorting bias goes, Pottermore has said that Brett is a Gryffindor. So
All right,
so
that's
it
on
is.
the record.
yes. So continuing on, yes.
And before you were starting to tell me a little bit about this stuff, and then Michael's like, "So for the pod, you said there were definitely like different types of people who play Magic the Gathering, and I
Yeah.
want to know like those different kinds before we jump into the sorting itself, and then like where you fall. You think?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure where I fall, but like there's like the three main ones. They were called Spike. Like the different types of people that tend to play this game and the way they play the game are like Spike, Johnny, and Timmy. Spikes are people that like really take the game competitively seriously and look for the ways to optimize their decks as much as possible. Whereas Johnnies are people who are like, I'm not so worried about much optimization as I am about like creating a deck that is cool. Like, I don't care if it's the strongest, but after you play my deck, you will go, wow, and remember that. Like, that guy made that thing.
It's more about having fun, whereas the other one's like, I'm gonna play the most correctly.
True.
Or is it more on the flair side? Like
True.
You're kind of a buster in the fact that like you're going to like almost like a glass cannon deck of like if you pull off this one proper synergy across cards, like it's impressive, but if
It
not,
could be that way. You say glass cannon, but it could be the opposite of the spectrum for a Johnny. It could be a deck that's like, you can't kill me. No matter what.
Gotcha.
Like, I can't win, but you can't kill me. Or something like that.
Gotcha.
It's more about using... So if all the cards in the entire game are like resources, like a card pool, Johnnies are interested in making something no one's ever made before out of all that. That's all it comes down to.
I see.
And then there's Timmy, which is someone who's just like, I just like having fun, no matter what
Oh,
happens.
okay, I know which one I am.
Yeah.
I'm the Timmy in almost everything I do.
Oh, okay. So you're about the
'cause I'm not good
sensations
at
and
almost
stuff.
anything.
I
You
was
can-
definitely, when exposed to Magic, the Timmy of the group because I was just like, oh, the artwork's really cool on this card, so I'm gonna like put that in my deck for sure.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I was drawn to Magic the Gathering in about 8th grade, and I was mostly drawn because I thought the artwork was incredible. And
You were
so
drawn to the drawings.
I was.
Mm.
And so I'd be going down to Third Planet, which was like the comic book shop around there, and checking out, like I'd see tournaments, but like not really know what the hell was going on, but I'd be like, oh, that's a really pretty card, or that thing looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was my exposure. So Reed and I are both Timmys. You're like,
I don't know what I am.
I mean, you're probably not a Timmy. Probably.
No, at this point, definitely not. I'm somewhere between Johnny and Spike
Spawny?
for sure. Yeah, I'm a Spawny. Yeah, good call.
Jake
Oh.
sounds a little dicey.
It sounds a little derogatory. Let's not say that anymore. But yeah, I find the coolest thing about this entire game is the color pie system. These 5 colors, and how they deal with creating like not a world. There's many worlds in this game, but it's mostly about how they tackle the concepts of the questions that we ask ourselves every day in life through like this portal of high fantasy. And I'll make myself more clear. So like each color kind of has like a base want and its base main methods for obtaining that want.
Okay, gotcha.
You know what I mean? So like, okay, so if we were to start with like white, the thing that white wants most is peace. Peace.
Okay.
Whatever that means to you. And so its main methods for doing that are selflessness and order. Now,
Gotcha.
narratively, you can see selflessness in a lot of different ways and order in a lot of different ways, but like that stuff happens narratively in the game. Like you'll have characters who will, like act as a shield, like in the story for somebody else, but it also happens mechanically too in the game. So for example, selflessness can be expressed in the game mechanically with like, you have a creature, it's like you can kill this one creature, but all the rest of your creatures can't die for the rest of the turn.
I see.
And order can be expressed in the game by like placing a card on an enemy's card or creature that says like this person can't participate in combat anymore. Mm-hmm. You've removed them from combat. You've established order. You know what I mean?
So it's nullifying, and then in doing so, all is well.
Exactly.
All is quelled.
Peace. Equality is an important thing to white,
And then, but I on the little bit of a briefing I did, I also saw like the flip side is that white can become like authoritarian.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So like white to the extreme can be almost Orwellian,
Mandated peace. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the kinds of, creatures that you'll be seeing in white are like angels and knights and birds and soldiers.
A lot of paladin-y sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, because I only understand things through pop culture, like some characters that I think of when I think of white, like an example of somebody who's white and probably like still virtuous is, Superman, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
Easy peasy. We get that. But then someone who's definitely white in my opinion, but not so virtuous is you read Watchmen? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, Ozymandias, right?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, like he definitely goes in some crazier directions.
Or from the Marvel, the Thanos guy.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah.
That guy was fucking like he had good intentions, but he was bonkers. Yeah.
That's such a good tagline.
I did not know anything about that movie before we watched it, and I was super sleep deprived, and then I was just like, I felt like I was on psychedelics. I was like, what's happening?
I was definitely leaning
Everybody's
over a
in
handful
this
of
movie.
times to like, because I saw it with Reed at midnight.
Sure.
And it was a handful of like lean overs being like, okay, so this is what this relationship means.
At this point, he knows just to do it without me asking, like a mom who's just really excited to be there.
Okay, baby, here's what's going on.
I wanted to make sure you at least understood like relative stakes for the sort of thing we were seeing.
Like, okay, so that one's Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
What was that line that you just said? You said like what does he say? Like
he wanted peace, but he went bonkers.
He went bonkers. Like, yeah, that's Thanos, all right.
Yeah, I call it like I see it.
But like when it comes to white, the things that it hates most are selfishness and recklessness. Because both things will lead to a lack of peace.
So it's somewhat anti-Gryffindor then, because those are both aspects that Gryffindors exude in somewhat.
Selfishness a little bit?
Well, not selfishness, but the recklessness. And also like Slytherin is the selfishness.
Or they'll be selfish, but they won't realize it. And then they'll be like, yeah, but they'll
like inadvertent selfishness.
Yeah, they're selfish. They know enough to feel bad about it.
So I think that immediately takes both Gryffindor and Slytherin off of the table as far as like the houses.
I'm gonna say probably risk averse and conflict averse. I'm thinking Hufflepuff for sure.
I mean,
might be.
And Hufflepuff's they do favor fairness,
right?
And peace would certainly be an
fairness
extension.
Is a key word with white.
Yeah, and if a Hufflepuff were to become a villain, it is the one who's like, I was trying to help hug the cat too hard, and now his eyeballs.
Yeah, that's
out.
white to a T.
Yeah.
Because in the game, like, you get effects like, you know what? Everybody gets 5 life. Yay!
Yeah.
But it also like, you know what? Everybody dies. Everybody dies.
See, nobody can say I played favorites because y'all died.
Right.
I gotcha.
White is about equality as opposed to equity. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So that's white. Right?
Great.
Cool.
And there's blue. Blue, whereas white wants peace, blue wants perfection. Right?
Okay.
That can mean perfection of the self or of the outward world. You're smirking over there.
I
Barryte.
already am like, I think because it's interesting because I never was aware of sort of the backstory around the color.
Yes.
I always just was like, oh, blues tend to have a lot of spells. And
Right.
but I didn't realize that there was a bit of lore behind the reasoning around it.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would call it lore. It's more like just like a modus operandi. You know what I mean? It's weird. But yeah, they want perfection. And the main methods that Blue uses to get perfection are reason and invention. So reason as in like slowing things down, taking the time to meticulously think about your actions before you take them.
And like, there's never like a calculated, like risky move that someone would be like, I'll just go ahead and take that. You're always like, I'm going to weigh everything and only move forward when I know it's good.
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
And invention as in like blue will bring into existence the things that it needs to get its job done.
Yeah.
You know?
I just don't have, I have no idea. I'm freaking lost where we would sort this one, dude.
Oh, this one seems easy to me.
This one, it's teetering between Slytherin and Ravenclaw.
As it should. This is so interesting. Because like...
No, I was joking.
I was joking.
This is a Ravenclaw. What are you talking about?
Are you sure though?
Yes. Because like the creativity, because all houses I think have their own creativity.
Sure.
And but Ravenclaws get it from that mother of invention sort of thing. Is something being necessary. They'll fucking pull stuff out of their brains that you're like, what is? That's a whole new primary color. And like, yes, I deduced that there would be another one. It's like that sort of thing.
Interesting.
Which direction are you leaning, Brett?
Well, with my like very little knowledge of the houses, I think that there's heavy blue. I think there's heavy blue in Ravenclaw, but I think there's also heavy blue in Slytherin.
I would say only because when I read it, it was like the way that the blue says that it can get everything it needs to be done or to understand the universe is just to understand everything.
Yes.
Whereas I feel like Slytherins sometimes are like,
they're a little more tunnel vision-y about things.
If it's not important to what I need to do, it's probably not important at all.
That's a very good distinction.
It's also worth noting, and this is like more for those who are in the deep trenches of Harry Potter. It's Ravenclaw's colors are blue and gray as far as just house colors go. So maybe we should just be like, all right, Blue, you get it.
Yeah.
Like just purely on those
Sometimes
grounds.
you just Occam's razor, and the house that would understand what Occam's razor is Ravenclaw.
Well, the types
blue.
of creatures that you would see popping up in blue are like wizards, sphinxes, merfolk, and leviathans.
Oh, all of the ones that have riddles for...
Yes.
Yes.
The way that they let you do anything.
You just want shadows in the dark all day with these boys.
Basically, like either you know the password or you're done with these people.
Did I say shadows in the dark? I meant riddles in the dark.
That's fine. I knew what you meant.
You think in like in like the magical world, in like fantasy and stuff, when kids go to school, they also learn a bunch of riddles in addition to like history and shit.
Yes, like just in case you ever come across a sphinx.
You try to leave town, there's a fucking troll named Earl, and Earl's gonna catch you on so many fucking weird fallacies in his riddles. Everybody's studying.
It's just a long-standing lateral thinking course of like, guys, just remember, like, whole can have multiple meanings.
Right,
so
right,
when
right.
someone says,
you get to college, you're like, oh man, I gotta go to advance. Which door do I go through?
all right,
If
like,
someone mentions a face, they're talking about a clock.
right,
Every time. And it's funny you mention that because the people, like two characters that I think embody blue a lot are, number one, like probably a good side of blue is Iron Man, Tony Stark.
Oh yeah.
Tony Stark is a futurist.
sure,
Yeah, he's a nerd who gets laid.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But Tony Stark is always looking to the future for his answers and is always like, he's trying to make himself better and he's always trying to make the world better, which is very blue.
Yeah.
He's always moving towards that in the direction of perfection by creating. But I'd say a darker side of blue would be the Riddler.
Oh. Especially Jim Carrey's, because that bodysuit was sinister.
He scared the hell out of me as a child.
Oh my god.
What?
Oh yeah. It granted, it does not take much to like throw me off my game, especially child me. So like, it was the combination of like the low, like sweeping Dutch angles onto him and like the insane color strobing.
Because like those were the Schumacher ones, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I feel like we slept. I feel like we like they're not the closest to like the feel of the comics and stuff, but I feel like they're underrated in terms of their camp value alone, and the fact that everybody, maybe he felt so scary to you because he did not feel like a human being.
No, and I mean,
He's a cartoon.
yeah, he really was a cartoon, but like just to give you a further glimpse into like insane, irrational things that startled me, like, more so. There's like a cartoon I remember as like a child from Sesame Street that was like a frog that was like swelling up, and I don't recall what the lesson was, but like that cartoon horrified me.
All
as
right,
this,
Michael, this is going to be the sequel to, we did an episode earlier in our series called Michael's Irrational Fears.
Yep.
And now we're going to do things that Michael says irrationally startled him.
Look, it
It
was.
could be anywhere from when you were a child up until today.
There are too many. We'll be moving on. So, what other blues?
The only thing is like the things that Blue hates. I would sum up as impulsiveness. I'm
Sure.
sorry, impulsiveness and instinct.
Okay, then that's definitely a Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Because if it's like, I think a Slytherin might actually be a little bit impulsive based on just some like spite.
No, like look at like from all the Slytherins I know in the books, they're always just like popping off and like not even thinking about whether it's gonna like serve their needs.
You make
if they
a
get
good
angry
point.
enough.
Yeah.
And then what was the other aspect you said?
Instinct.
Instinct. Yeah, I mean that just seems like
Yeah.
Anybody who's like, no, logically it's like, I don't know, my gut's telling
It's like,
me.
what do you mean your gut? What does that even mean?
I'm just saying, if I spit and I wait 2 seconds, then it'll land on the guy's head. I just know it. If we're up on top of the building, you're gonna lose that $5.
This is you on top of the library.
Yeah.
After you eat your lunch.
I have to get my revenge somehow on all the people who had friends.
Aw. Then there's Black.
All right, what's Black all about?
A lot of people say that Black wants power, and it does.
I saw Black always as like a leeching sort of decay.
Can be. It's just that like when people say that Black wants power, that to me seems like that doesn't seem like the end. That doesn't seem like the terminus. That seems like a means.
Yeah.
It's like if you want power, it's like for what?
If of all the sets, and maybe this is also my like slightly forgotten knowledge base, but I'd say that Red is more power hungry. But
Ooh, we'll make that distinction when we get there.
okay, that might just be the creatures that I'm like remembering that seem.
I was sitting in the movie theater to watch Hereditary for the second time.
Oh boy, I heard that one is a doozy.
It'll stick with you for sure.
Which is one of the reasons why I haven't seen it yet, because the Riddler scared me.
Michael, we should go see it together because Michael and I were probably the funniest people to watch a horror movie because I'm just a big old baby.
Okay.
And we went and saw one time Green Room. Neither of us really knew what the movie was about.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
And we were with somebody who
Green
loves
Room.
horror movies, and the whole time
He was like cackling
he
at
was
us.
cackling because we were both just shrieking like two old ladies on a roller coaster,
Dude.
who had not known what a roller coaster was before they got on it.
You need to film your guys' excursions
I
to
was
the movie
like,
theater.
I was shrunk so far down
Yeah.
and back in my seat.
And meanwhile,
like,
I'm like forcing this straight man to cuddle me so I can escape behind his body.
it was a comical disaster,
Yeah,
but
we
a great
should-
movie.
Yeah, we
Great
should just
movie.
film
Loved
us
it.
watching scary movies sometimes, Michael, because I think it would be a blast.
Patrick Stewart is so good in that film.
Oh, he's good. He's the
Anton
greatest.
Yelchin too.
So,
which, like,
Yeah, I forgot he was in that. And Alia Showcat.
yeah, they're all good.
So for Black, I was reading that like, as far as morality goes,
Yes.
they are not necessarily immoral, but they see things more in like an existential, like, this is just like the material existence that we are living
Yeah.
in, and if you know the benefits or the like the moves to make, you're the one who are going to have the power.
You make a good distinction. They're not immoral, they're amoral.
Yeah,
They don't believe in a right or wrong. you
yeah,
know?
they're neutral on the D&D chart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They can be, yeah. But like when I was sitting in the theater, like it just hit me at one point, and I realized that I think what Black wants is survival at all costs. You know,
It's all about life or death.
more like I will survive
Gotcha.
at it by any means. I think they want power in order to survive, whatever
Right.
that means. So yeah, its main methods are indeed, like Reed said, amorality, but also exploitation. And I know that's like a scary word, but don't jump out of your seat, Michael.
I'm not.
Okay, good. I thought it might startle you.
I'm maintaining.
Exploitation as in like, it doesn't see anything as, Black doesn't see anything as sacred. Black
Okay.
sees everything as like, no, we might use this to get the job done, whatever that may be.
Right.
Gotcha.
So if you wanted to use like a popular cultural touchstone like or character like Kylo Ren,
Sure.
as especially
is
like
he not a baddie?
well, like I mean, as far as his sort of statements within The Last Jedi, regardless of whether you like it, like he's saying like let the past die, like
Yes, absolutely.
let's just move forward.
Absolutely.
All I'm saying is if you're gonna zoom into some lady's head and her thoughts, you need to ask for permission first.
Yeah, that was not consensual.
I think Star Wars universe needs to teach about consent, especially considering
See,
the way its fandom's
who
going.
does HR over there?
See,
Ooh,
I actually
probably a monkey that went to lunch like 3 hours ago.
see. I
and
always
didn't
saw
come back.
that as like Leia tapping into him. I saw it the reverse,
Oh,
but.
and to Rey, you mean?
No, I saw. Are you? You're
Yeah,
talking about that.
Yeah, I was also
Remember
thinking
all
about
the
Ray.
time where he just suddenly could see her and see
Well,
where she was?
She's. Well, that's a. I think sometimes she turns around and sees him, and not
yeah.
vice versa.
They see each other.
I thought
Oh, okay,
I thought
so
you
he's
were
not
referencing.
controlling it? Okay,
no,
that's
no, no.
different.
It's Snoke's doing, but I thought the point that I thought what you were talking about was when he is like going and about to attack Leia's ship. And then
yes.
like they force connect very briefly, and there's just like that
Which they
flash,
have
flash,
to do
flash,
because they had
flash,
run out of
flash.
footage with the lady talking.
Yeah, and then he eases up. But yes, sorry, I
Oh, it's fine.
sidebarred
So
a little bit.
it's more about like, just like using every part of the animal if we think we can use it.
Absolutely, but it
Okay.
doesn't come from a sense of like. It doesn't come from a sense of they're not using every part of the animal to honor the animal.
Yeah.
They're using every part of the animal because they're going to get what they need to get.
Gotcha.
And just because it's there, like
It's more like whatever serves their goal, and in this case, it's like to survive. So if it's like, no, I will suck this marrow because I will survive, and it's like,
Right.
but sucking the marrow, no, I'm going to do it. What it hates are vulnerability and waste.
So because it hates vulnerability, does that mean like it like they operate out of fear?
I think that if I wanted to get really existential about this, I would say that all of these come from a place of fear. But I think that's a really astute observation.
Dude,
I do
I'm
think
astute
black
as
is.
hell.
Yeah, you are. You are.
you spend all that time in the library.
Y'all act like I read in there. That was just a place to sit with air conditioning.
Gotcha. But yeah, I think black does fear a lot, and because of that, black compensates by going, "I will acquire as much power as I can, so I can survive as long as possible."
See another day. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. As long as possible. Sometimes black will kill itself to stay alive. And what I mean by that is like you'll get like one of the creatures in black are liches, who are like people who like turn themselves into like sentient, powerful zombies in order to prolong
Oh,
themselves.
okay. So these are people who are like, when the zombie apocalypse happens, I'm just gonna go quickly so I can start doing my zombie stuff and not.
More like when the zombie apocalypse happens, it's like I will control these zombies.
I'll become king of the zombies.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
The tribes you get in black are like zombies, demons, vampires, and horrors of all kinds.
Y'all, when the zombie apocalypse happens, what's your estimate of how long you last?
It depends on location.
Yeah, if we're in this city, it's rough.
Yeah, no, it's dense. I feel like in the zombie movie, I'm the dude who's like, let me just see who's here at the door, and like opens it immediately. Like first 5 minutes of the film, I just get jumped.
You're watching the news too? This is horrible. Ding dong. What could that be?
That must be my pizza.
Also, I don't know why they would be. Never mind.
The zombie rings the doorbell.
He got lucky. He just grazed it. Characters who are black, in my opinion, are Batman.
Absolutely.
Batman, none of the characters we're mentioning are like wholly one color, just like people aren't one dimensional.
Yeah.
But there's definitely some black to Batman in that this is a guy who will do just about anything to get his job done.
Right.
And he's also that parasite aspect you were talking about with the exploitation. He like uses the Wayne Enterprise money for the Batman stuff.
It's true.
Yeah. Do they ever talk to about what Batman's accountant thinks is happening to like these millions of dollars?
I think
Wayne
that he
Enterprises?
just has I think actually Bruce Wayne has stuff like R&D so that money just sinks into there over time.
Yeah. Do you think anyone ever working over at Wayne Enterprises is like, we never see the boss?
He's always sleeping during the day. It's weird.
You don't have any pictures on social media except for him at galas for part of it.
his story doesn't hold up. You're right.
No, but that's why
Cancel Batman.
that's why the Riddler so easily like figured it out.
Right. Another character who's black, in my opinion, is Magneto. Once again, somebody who will do anything to get
You
the
just
job done.
listed your two favorite
I did.
comic book characters on both sides of the aisle.
I did.
No, because there is something about like the high stakes of feeling like I gotta get the fuck through
But
this, or I have to get my mission accomplished by any means necessary, because otherwise it'll make me go insane.
Well,
True.
My follow-up question to that is, so do you primarily run black decks or
It's weird. The colors that I get when I take like Magic the Gathering color quizzes online, the colors that I get for my personality are not the colors that I run based on
Gotcha.
fun.
Gotcha.
You know. But that's black. And then there's red, right? What red wants most of
We
all.
need to sort. Are we thinking Slytherin?
Oh, my bad. It sounds pretty Slytherin.
Yeah.
So far, these are pretty easy, right?
So far, but I know that
Just
we're
wait.
going to be
Just
adding
wait.
It's like
another layer
taking
at
all
the
these
very end.
broad strokes and then making them even broader.
Yeah, right? Like, so far, things are lining up pretty even.
Right.
But we'll see what happens. So there's red, right?
Yes.
Red wants freedom.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So I thought power, but it's freedom.
Definitely. And maybe it gets power to get freedom, but once again, we're trying to like boil this down
Sure.
to its rawest
Let's
essence.
distill it.
Right. The main methods that red uses to get freedom are randomness and action. All right.
Okay, we know what this is.
Because I don't.
I said
Oh, it's pretty
randomness
clear.
and action makes me think Gryffindor.
It might be.
Yeah, especially like if some chaos is going down, like whenever in the books, like people are getting into trouble, it's always the Gryffindors.
I see. You might, because they lead with their heart.
Yeah.
And that's red to a T.
And-
Yeah,
and,
they're crashing through the wall and then are like, oh, we inadvertently let a bunch of like ghost people out. Like,
Interesting. Because, like, it's weird that I got Gryffindor today when I took that test, because that is not me.
Right. That was why. Well, it's like I definitely see you as like a leader within the community, which I associate like Gryffindors tending to be.
Yeah, and are you really tight knit with all your buds, like with your close friends, or you're
Yeah.
like real close? Yeah, that's Gryffindor through and through.
We'll talk. We'll talk about
Yeah.
it. So randomness and action, right? And what it hates are confinement and passivity.
Yep.
That's Gryffindor.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
Like so, like if it feels like it can't take action right away, it's gonna like red will lose their mind.
It's,
Yes, exactly right.
It's
Yeah.
getting the bounce, like the stress bounce leg, just like, guys, we gotta.
Yeah, like restless leg syndrome, man.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah, red wants freedom by any means necessary, and so like the way that usually happens is like they're impulsive. You know, I think we're all on the same page here. Red
Yeah.
is pretty easy to understand.
So this is gonna be an offense sort of. Card
Yeah,
that you're
yeah.
playing.
Mechanically, you're absolutely right. So, like, the things that it does are like direct damage. So, as opposed to like, I play this creature and I'm going to attack you to get some damage. Red is like, I'll just put damage on your face. Why are we waiting?
Well, and if I recall, and maybe this is true for other cards, but I'm pretty sure red tends to have cards when you bring into play like does X damage.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, it has effects like that. It also has random effects. So to go with randomness, like red is the color that'll most often be like, flip a coin to find out stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Also, one of my favorite representations of randomness in the game is looting, as opposed to card draw. So something blue will do a lot is card draw. It's like, even if it's like, I think it's called, yeah. So blue does looting, which is when you draw a card and then discard a card. So you pick one card up,
Oh, gotcha.
you take a look at your new situation, you think about it, and then you get rid of one thing. You pay that price.
Okay, gotcha.
Red does, and I forget what it's called, but it's a derivation on looting that's more red, which is you discard a card first and then draw one.
Oh, so you might get something crappier, and then you didn't get to like make that assessment.
Exactly.
Hell yeah, that's
Because
fun.
red's not supposed to be as good at thinking as blue is.
But
you know?
sometimes but it's still taking that initiative to
That's
try to get something
very
better.
fun.
Yes. And that's all over this game. Little things like that. Here's a character that's red, the Hulk, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Easy peasy, enough said. But something that might not be as obvious is, I think, Dick Grayson, Nightwing.
Okay.
Okay.
I think is a very red character. From like the fact that like even from his inception, he was kind of a foil for Batman. Whereas Batman is always dour and heartless, even in kicking butt against crime, Dick Grayson has always been a mouth and a heart, you know? Not to mention the fact that the crux of his character in growing up was, I need freedom from you. You are confining me.
Sure.
You know? I think that's kind of cool.
When I was reading about Red, one of the things that I remember is pranks. Is this the prank one?
Pranks?
I don't know. I just read one of them was like they're the most likely to have like tricks up their sleeves or use something
Mischief,
like,
yeah.
mischievous.
Yeah. I think you're
that
right.
definitely would like make me think Gryffindor as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, like the Weasley twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. And this is your color since you're the goblin in the library, right?
Thank you.
And you're spitting on people from the top of that library.
I feel like this is mostly about my looks, but go on.
So, like, this is where I think things are going to get interesting because so far it's like, well, everything's in its own house, but there's one last color, right? Which is green. And,
You did this in a very calculated manner.
no, this is the order of the colors.
That's so wild.
The order of the colors matters, and we'll get into that after green. I
Oh,
promise.
okay.
No.
Green is a color that I had ever since I've been playing this game for about like 10 years almost. Green is the color that I habitually have the hardest time understanding. And I think that's because I'm not very green in terms of my desires.
I see.
But I'm starting to get it. Green wants acceptance, I would say. Not as in like, accept me. More like, green's like, I want everyone to accept the way that things are.
I see.
The best way I heard it put was like, green is the one color that's not trying to change the world.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't have like a specific agenda that's in conflict with anyone else's.
It does have an agenda that's in conflict with everyone else because everyone else is trying to change the world, whereas green's like, things are fine.
Okay.
Leave it alone. All right. So the way that it does this is natural evolution and preservation. Leave things the way they are. Right. And it's not static. It's not like things are unchanging. It's like things do change naturally, but they don't need to be messed with by human hands. You know, that's what green is about.
Gotcha. And that kind of makes sense because like somebody was talking the other day about like environmentalism and how we have to save the earth, and someone kind of chimed in like, man, at a certain point, wouldn't we all just die and then the earth would just be like kind of got some scars and lumps, but it would be fine? That's what makes sense to me. I'm like, okay, if it's all about like keep restoring order and everything and there being an equilibrium, I think the earth itself is a great example of like, yeah, things change, but mostly I just keep on trucking.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and you different animals and plants and everything, you're gonna come and go.
Yeah, it's like green is the color that's the least reverent towards human beings and human-like people.
Sure. Yeah.
It's mostly like, no, you're not that important compared to animals and plants. You're absolutely right.
Gotcha.
It almost feels like it's on a similar playing field but at the same time not to white.
Okay, we'll
like,
get there.
am I starting to like enter the Mobius strip that you've like?
You're starting to enter the fourth dimension.
Yeah, because it sounds like in the way that white is like, let's level things out, let's engage in peace. Like there's a staticness there in some sense, but it's you need to accomplish it.
Yes, and that is the exact difference.
Whereas it's just saying like, we're going to quell, not to even, but to maintain.
Yes. Yeah, whereas white is like, stop fighting. Green is like, do these things fight naturally? Then let them fight.
Oh, is this some elf shit? This where you're gonna find the elves?
Yes!
Yeah.
So you get elves, beasts, hydras, and shamans and stuff, you know. Like asceticism is a big thing here.
Gotcha.
So they're going to enable that which things naturally do.
Exactly. Which is where you get a lot of like the mechanics of the game of like, in green you'll get a lot of things. It's like, all right, this thing comes into play and every turn for free, this effect will happen. So you should probably get rid of it quick. You know what I mean? It's like for free, once a turn, this thing happens. Like this creature gets bigger, you get another creature, you know, natural stuff. And preservation, as in like anything man-made, we don't like. So in the game, if it's like an equipment or an artifact or an enchantment, you know, like a piece of magic, green is like, we don't like that. And we'll often have effects for destroying that stuff.
Okay, so true conservatives. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of in a way, yeah.
Not in the way of like a social way, but just like we don't really need to have innovations on everything, folks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like green is like, you can have progress as long as that progress is natural.
Gotcha. It doesn't go against the natural law.
Exactly. That's all that matters to green. The things that green hates are artifice, man-made stuff, and profanity. Not like cursing, but like
that which is an affront to the natural world.
And there it is. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That makes me feel that this is going to be a Hufflepuff.
Really?
Yes.
Like a really stern Hufflepuff or
a Hufflepuff in the sense that it wants fairness, but it's not. Yeah, it's very.
This is where things get muddy.
Well, I had it, and then I turned a little bit, and we're not recording in our normal space, and I caught a glint of sun, and I don't mean to be it threw me, but it kind of did.
Very
Michael,
startled
don't
by the
stare into the sun.
I know.
All
I
right,
shouldn't.
now I will also say this is kind of like a cheat, but sometimes, and I say this is the fault of Rowling in the underdevelopment of some of the houses in the stories. Hufflepuff tends to be the process of elimination house. If you're I don't know where the hell this goes otherwise, it usually ends up in
You go to
Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff.
Oh, right. Going off of just it doesn't. It seems like if it's going to be railing against pride, that, which is sort of man-made things are in. I at least view most man-made things are us trying to be I'm great in some capacity or another.
And then also Hufflepuffs tend to have the most reverence for the natural world
Exactly.
and for the earth. They are the ones who
Okay.
they're the ones who want to work in the ground, get their hands dirty.
Ravenclaws are trying to understand something so they can probably work with it or better it.
And they are not anti-innovation. They're
exactly.
all about disrupt.
The same is true
Okay.
for Slytherin. Slytherin being how can we cleverly take the world around us and create something
You're right. Okay.
for
better.
ourselves.
So if you were to put Hufflepuff, if you were to put green in Hufflepuff primarily, secondarily, where would you put it? Gryffindor?
It would probably be Gryffindor if
Yeah, because
if it couldn't be Hufflepuff.
Gryffindor is also
Okay.
a sort of community-based one, and based off of the idea that hey, we're going to maintain, even if it's maintain community in a chaotic nature, that's
Maintaining chaos. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I feel you. Okay.
And
But this one's not as
Gryffindor-
easy as you said. This one's more complicated.
That's
I think.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for things to get really complicated?
Yes. Yeah, let's get into it.
Real quick. All right. So one of my favorite aspects of this is that both mechanically, as in the way you play the actual game, and thematically, the way you think about these colors, they're usually not so one-dimensional. Rarely will you have a deck that's one color. Sometimes you will.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But usually you mix and match them, whether that's pairs or trios. But for now, I want to talk about the pairs.
Sure.
Because honestly, the pairs are where you start things to get a little bit more fleshed out and a little bit more real. Just like in real life, no one is a full, Hufflepuff. There's probably some stuff here and there that, puts them in a little bit of house here, a little bit of house there. So when you start to mix these colors together into pairs, you start to really understand the relationships between them. And I mean really understand them better. So the best way to begin thinking about it is this. The colors are in a pie, like a circle, right? That
Sure.
order: white, blue, black, red, and green. The colors adjacent to, if you take a color and look at the two colors adjacent to it, those are that color's allies.
Oh, I see. And are the ones that are directly across, are the ones that the complements, are they the ones that
They're enemies.
enemies? We cannot handle each other. Gotcha.
So white, for example, is allies with both blue and green. However,
Because they have some of the same goals.
exactly, they have
Yeah.
some stuff in common, but blue and green do not like each other.
Oh, man, awkward.
Yeah, and usually it's okay. So check it out. If you look at the color pair of white and blue, the thing that they have in common is structure, right?
Yeah.
Structure of society in white versus the structure of the way you take in information in blue.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they like things to be kind of ordered for their different purposes, but they both like structure.
And then blue is probably more into, because it's so knowledge based, it's more innovation and artifice, and green's fuck you, no thank you.
Exactly.
Oh, gotcha.
But the really interesting thing is you get to see really what these colors care about and what they have in common when you look at what they both hate together. So white and blue.
That's how all the best friendships are formed, right?
Yeah, hate based. Fuck
Yeah.
that guy. White and blue both don't like red.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at freedom, the opposite of freedom is, depending on how you want to look at it, structure. You know what I mean?
Control, they would say.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, whether it's self-control or the control of the behavior of society.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to just note, in case it did pick up, I did just slap my leg like a hillbilly.
Yeah, like that is fascinating.
Turning into my mother every day.
If you were to look at black and blue and black.
Mm-hmm.
Blue and black are allies, right? They're right next to each other on the color pie, if you will. But I'd say that they're the thing they have in common, I would say, is self-improvement.
Yes.
Okay, I can see
So
that.
they're
yeah.
sort of the Ultron.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. So their common enemy is green.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at what green wants, it should be the opposite of self-improvement, which is acceptance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's funny how that works out, you know?
You also mentioned there are sometimes trios. What kind of combinations are you going to see there? And is it ever like ones where like, oh, don't seem like they would mix together?
Yes. So just like there are 10 pairs, there are also 10 different types of trios. So, and usually you define those less by what all the 3 colors that are in there and usually by what's not there. So like if you have, one of the trios is called Esper, and that's white, blue, and black.
Mm-hmm.
Esper doesn't have red or green. Oh, let me come back to Esper in a second after we keep talking about the pairs.
Oh, sure. Sorry
Check
about
this
that.
out. So black and red, they agree on independence.
Okay.
They both don't like white, which is all about peace,
Mm-hmm.
right? Red and green, they agree on authenticity. They both value authenticity. As opposed to blue's perfection, right? Perfection is the opposite of authenticity.
It's idealism, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, oh no, I missed one. Green and white. Green and white both value community. As opposed to black's, survival, right?
Yeah, because black's like, when
Black
the chips are down,
black
baby.
is going to throw
you're on your
everybody into the
own.
fire, whereas green and white are going to be like, no, we can get this person who's been bitten by a zombie to safety, and they're like, nope, you gotta get rid of them.
Absolutely. So once again, back to the trio that you asked about. Like,
Esper,
if you look at black, white, and blue together, there's no green or red there. So you ask yourself, what's not there? And that's authenticity. So one of my favorite magic sets was Shards of Alara, which was a set that took place on 5 different planes of reality that used to be all one plane of reality, but some event happened that shattered them all. And the conceit of the set is like, what if we had 5 different like worlds, and on these 5 worlds, 2 colors didn't exist. So you get this world called Esper, where there is no nature and there is no spontaneity. So it's like a machine world.
That sounds cool.
It is really cool. Well, it's like a meritocracy. It's a meritocracy, peaceful.
I say cool,
machine
but it
world.
also would be a nightmare if I went there because I would just immediately be like,
Yeah, they wouldn't like
what
it.
is that creature?
They'd be like, what is on that building spitting at people? I don't understand.
And I'd be like, hey, villains, are you robots?
Touching them? Are you a robot? You are a robot.
Oh, gosh.
Clanking on their head and body. You're hollow. What's going on there?
But you guys get the idea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly, there's what I find even more fascinating are the enemy color pairs.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at colors who are across from each other and ask them like less what they have in common, but what are they fighting over?
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at white and black, right?
Sure.
White and black. At this point, you guys could probably put this together. It's the central theme is the good of the group versus the good of the individual, right?
Right.
What you were just talking about in the zombie scenario.
Yeah.
Blue and red is head versus heart. Right?
Gotcha.
Right.
Black versus green is about sanctity versus blasphemy, I would say.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can unpack that a little bit if you want to.
Like,
I would like
not
that.
being
Yeah,
willing
'cause
to
that one's-
sacrifice something where as opposed to be like, totally get rid of if we have to. Is that what you mean?
I would say it's more like green thinks that things should be left the way they are and preserved. Natural, I don't want to say beauty.
So that's where the sanctity,
Yes.
gotcha. And blasphemy is like, it's not worth it. Let's discard.
Blasphemy as in like the way that you and I are blasphemous every day, where we say, God damn it, and shit like that.
Right.
Because it's like, no, we're going to do what we want to do and what we have to do. There is nothing that is too holy.
Gotcha.
There is nothing that should be untouchable. There is no resource. Like, okay,
Okay,
remember
all you PC police, social justice warriors.
Well, look,
That's
like-
the Joe Rogan.
he might be black. He also might be black. Oh, we'll talk about that later. When you asked me earlier what
deck
decks
you
I
ran?
like to play, for some reason, even though I'm not black and green, but I might be, I find myself playing black and green a lot because of the things they do mechanically. So black is all about taking resources and using any and all resources to get the job done.
Sure.
Green is about having those resources.
Yeah.
So things that black will do mechanically are like, you can pay your own life to do things. It's like if you have a life total in the game, it's like, how about you pay some life to do something cool? Or black is the main color that's like, oh, these creatures you had out died. They're in the graveyard. You can't use them anymore. Black's like, no, I will use them again. And green is good at being like, well, here's a bunch of creatures. You know what I mean?
And also being like, and these creatures will stay.
Yeah.
Like,
So like mechanically, the enemy colors, they are enemies, but when you put them together, you get some pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna get like the drama because they're gonna want diametrically opposed things.
Sometimes they will, yeah.
Yeah. Before we wrap up this one, we should sort ourselves into the different ones because you were saying maybe you're black or green.
Yes.
Yourself. Are there any other contenders you think that if you had to just settle down on one of the colors?
One color for me?
Yeah.
Blue. I'm probably blue.
Yeah.
do you have a good sense of either of us based on?
Yes. I think. Well, hold on. There's two more color pairs. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
Please.
No. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything for the two of you.
Gotcha.
And I'm looking at them and I don't actually.
So yeah, I feel like you're probably also a blue, Michael.
That's what I was thinking.
You're always like, what's the best solution? How can we do this more efficiently? And you're not afraid to make risks or to just like reverse engineer or just pull shit out of your ass to have a solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's
Like the
red
first
and
6
white.
months of working in visual effects with you, I'd be like, how did he do that? And I'd ask you and you're like, I just figured it out. And I was like, well, God damn it.
Sorry, I'm very unhelpful sometimes as a leader.
No, it was
See,
just
I'm
more. It was more of me just being jealous that you were just like, I'll just go to the germ of an idea and I will pull out a fully formed expression out from my butt.
You're very kind?
I have theories about that, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I mean, throw those theories around.
It's gonna be harder to put you not in a house, but like a color, if you will, because I just met you.
Yeah.
Reed. But Barryte, I've known you for a while. If I had to put you, one color's too easy, or rather, maybe too hard.
Well, you can do pairs then if you think that's
I
easier.
feel like you might be blue-white, Barryte.
Blue-white.
Oh yeah, because you're very nurturing too. You made sure I had a sandwich before I got here. Like I just drove for maybe an hour, and Michael's like, "You have a sandwich waiting for you."
Well, what I know of you is that you're here, at least at work. You know, the way I work with you, you're constantly trying to establish order.
Yes.
Yeah, and the methods that you use to do so are like logic and reason.
Sure.
You seem pretty blue-white to me. I don't know about in your personal life, but I would probably still stick with that.
Yeah. Okay. I can agree with that. It's interesting to suddenly be like resorted, but I like that.
You're the kind of dude that when we're all doing bits, you know when we need to stop doing bits and get back to like getting our shit done.
Well, the most interesting part about that is those are the two colors when playing Magic were the colors that I never would run.
Isn't that funny?
That's because you like when you are ready to have fun, you're like, I'm ready. Michael gets super goofy when we play games. It's always so fun.
I was always drawn to like black, green, and red. Those were the decks that I was like, ooh, this is fun.
Because you, the blue-white person, know that the stakes are lower in a game. So you'll cut loose there.
Yeah.
You might be right. Reed, on the other hand, I don't know. I just met you, but if I had to take a stab, I would say that you're probably red and blue. Maybe.
Maybe. I do like learning stuff a lot. I don't always retain it, or I'll retain half of it. But I am pretty hot-headed and impulsive sometimes, and I will just jump into a fight if I have to, and I'll be like, "Who are we fighting?"
What do you think you are? What color? Like with all this stuff we just talked about, what do you think?
Well,
you are?
also using your technique of like, what would I be playing? I usually tend to be like pretty like straightforward. I think it's always like I like when I don't feel super confident in the rules of something, I will play just as squarely and as fairly as possible.
Okay.
And so
I think you'd be playing like a white-green deck.
yeah, I would be
maybe.
playing a white-green deck because like I remember my cousin when we first got Grand Theft Auto banned me from playing because I would play what I called Good Citizen.
No! Would you stop at the stoplights?
I would drive around and stop at all the
Oh my
stoplights,
God.
and I would like make sure that like if I was gonna turn into a new lane, I'd make sure I had proper following distance. And he was like, "You're murdering nobody."
Hands at 10 and 2.
Yeah. But yeah, and then in a game, I usually am like, I'd rather this keep going than devolve into madness. So I will just play real straight.
Maybe you're not as red as I thought. Who knows?
But in life, I am probably super red.
You're
yeah.
right. You're on the top of the building.
I don't
spitting at
always
people.
think things through before I'm like, some motherfuckers, let's do this. Yeah. So
You can get pretty fiery.
Okay.
yeah,
Probably,
But,
okay.
But I do also worry about people a lot. So white also maybe.
Yeah, that's
Interesting.
true.
Maybe.
You are very very community driven for
yeah.
sure. Gosh, yeah.
Might be some red, white, and green in there, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are those Mexico's colors?
Hey!
Hey.
World Cup. I don't know if they're still in. I wish I could sports, but are there any other points worth discussing or should
No, that's it. Just the last two color pairs. Red and white is freedom versus security, you know, and green and blue is nature versus nurture. you know?
Gotcha.
Great.
Yeah.
This is so much more in depth than I ever anticipated it being.
telling you.
I am so delighted, and I disagree with Pottermore that you're a Gryffindor.
What do you think I am?
I still think that
Michael's
you're.
never said that before.
I still think that you're a Ravenclaw, just based on like what I know about you as someone who really likes to go down the rabbit hole. Is so very methodical about like, let's break this down. Let's
Yes.
deconstruct
You're a good
it.
teacher. Like
Oh.
I was like reading through this stuff, and I was like, man, I'm gonna get lost in all of these mechanics.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of rules. I get lost quick.
I feel you. Thank you.
But-
you know, when I took the quiz last time I took it, I got 3 colors. I got black, blue, and green.
I don't.
Whatever the hell that means.
That seems like just off the very short time I've gotten to talk to you, it doesn't seem like it's far off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you would like to be learning more from Brett, I would encourage you all to check out his YouTube channel, Super Couch Fighters, where he is breaking down fighting games. And thank you again so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
You have been an absolute beacon, illuminating the color wheel or the color pie chart of
Pie is delicious.
of Magic the Gathering.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
If we would like to find you in someplace other than Super Couch Fighters, where might we search?
If you search Shaper of Stories, all one word, on the internet, you'll find me, like Twitch and
That's right. You have a Twitch channel
Oh
where
hell
you
yeah.
Twitch
Yeah.
and Twitter and all that stuff. You know,
yes,
you'll find it.
Support Brett. He's great.
Oh, thank you, Barryte. Thank you, Reed.
Of
if
course.
you would like to be following Reed or myself on the Twitters, you can follow Reed at That Dang Dingus. You can follow me at Belated Media. You can follow our Twitter at sortinghat_pod and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts because that's
Let
nice.
us know what you think and like where you want us to take the show next.
And let us know what decks you would run or what color you think you are.
Oh yeah, or us if you disagree with any of our color sortings.
Yes.
We're gonna find out. Like
Yes.
as soon as this podcast's over, I'm gonna put both of these guys through the test.
All
right.
right. You guys want to go spit off the roof?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.